Please recognize Mr. Finstad for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Throughout my first year and a half in Congress, I've highlighted the importance of passing a strong bipartisan farm bill. And I quite often say that the farm bill needs to be written by farmers and for farmers, by rural America and for rural America, not by a bunch of D.C. bureaucrats for D.C. bureaucrats. And so on that front, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you and your staff for your leadership in crafting a farm bill that accomplishes this goal, and it really does reflect the bipartisan priorities of farmers in southern Minnesota and across the country. Over the last several years, farm country has faced several challenges, including increased input costs and interest rates, weather-related disasters, supply chain challenges, and burdensome regulations. Moreover, the producers I represent in southern Minnesota are facing steep declines in net farm income for the second consecutive year and multi-billion-dollar trade deficits. The Chairman Marks strengthens crop insurance, farmers' #1 risk management tool, by including provisions of the Farmer Act, which I was proud to introduce, making higher levels of coverage more affordable for producers and reducing the need for future ad hoc assistance when disasters strike. Importantly, while I share corn growers' concerns about the new reference price floor on their commodity, the counter-cyclical farm safety net is strengthened through improvements to the ARC and the ARC program and increased reference prices for both corn and soybeans. I also welcome the significant updates to the DMC program for our dairy producers. I was pleased to see the bill include several pieces of legislation I introduced to ensure farmers and rural communities have access to the credit they need to succeed, including the PACE Act, which I introduced with Congresswoman Craig, to modernize the current limits on FSA ownership and operating loans, ensuring farmers, especially beginning farmers, have access to the financing they need to maintain and improve their operations. For too long, CRP general enrollment has chased acres and dollars, incentivizing producers to take prime farmland out of production rather than focusing on marginal land for important soil and wildlife conservation practices. This bill includes my legislation which makes significant improvements to the program, making meaningful step towards crafting a CRP 2.0, a program for the future by using science-based metrics to target CRP acres towards the most vulnerable land, while ensuring farmers and landowners continue to have the tools they need to protect our most vulnerable resources. I also commend the Chairman for his focus on the importance of food and farm security to our national security throughout this bill. As the producers I represent know, the threat of foreign animal disease would have a devastating effect on farm country. I am encouraged that this bill provides significant increases in funding for the prevention, preparedness, and response to foreign animal disease, including high-path avian influenza, African swine fever, and foot and mouth disease. Moreover, the bill includes language I introduced alongside Congresswoman Slotkin to protect our food and ag sector from the threats posed by the Chinese Communist Party and other foreign adversaries to our cybersecurity and food supply chain. This bill doubles funding for MAP and FMD, two market expansion tools that are more necessary now than ever. American pork producers use the best animal care standards in the world. If not addressed, California's Proposition 12 will cause significant harm to the operations, especially small and mid-sized producers, while increasing market concentration. Our legislation will protect producers that I represent from other states' use of political science to mandate wrong-headed production standards. As a fourth-generation farmer raising the fifth, I know firsthand that farmers are the best environmentalists in the world. We work every day to protect our water and topsoil, not because the government tells us to, but we do it to meet our calling to fuel and feed the world for generations to come. Mr. Chair, every American is affected by the Farm Bill, and the legislation before us today is responsible, and it addresses their needs through investments and improvements across the 12 titles. And I will just say that over the next 10 years, the investment of the American taxpayer on the nutrition title alone, about $1.2 trillion, is really a clear sign and investment to those that really do need that hand up, not just a handout. It's a neighbor helping a neighbor, and I am proud of this bill. I look forward to the markup before us today. I encourage my colleagues to rip the R and the D off your sweater, put the USA back on it, and let's get this bipartisan product across the finish line for farmers and every American. Thank you again, Mr. Chair, and I yield back.
Will the gentleman